Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 47 of Fire Talk Radio. And tonight we are going to talk about Kathy Griffin and her monsters tweet. We're going to figure out if those emails we're actually going to see from the White House and Fauci, some meth squirrels out of Alabama, and what the fuck is going on with the criminal justice system in Illinois, and even more tonight. So thank you again. Enjoy the show.
I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to.
All right. Normally we like to say we're back and hopefully the world didn't burn, but we're getting close to that again.
Uh, I mean, we got meth squirrels running around. Uh, so
What?
fuck.
Meth?
Oh,
Meth? What?
we'll talk about that tonight. Again, this is episode 47 of Fire Talk Radio. Please check us out on our website, firetalkradio.com. Check us out. Email us at firetalknetwork@gmail.com. Leave us a voicemail, 814-380-9820. Discuss anything. We'll talk about it all. Uh, Listen to some old episodes and you want to talk about it, send us some notification. Hey, I want more input. Or, hey, you're full of shit. This is my view. Great. We'll play it. We'll have that conversation. Um, Last week we had Drew from Drew Breaks the News. That was very fun.
That was
Um,
a great episode. I loved
oh,
it.
we had a blast. Um, Wish we got we that nursing strike just fell off the deep end with that conversation. That was something.
That
Um,
was a lot of information, is what it was, and we were all kind of learning it as we were talking.
yeah.
So it wasn't like we had anything prepared to with here's what we want to hit or anything. It's like, and this just popped into my mind, let's see it, which is kind of how I'm running things today, because I just got back from uh MMA training and then judo right after, so I am so flipping tired. Like, I really just want to like lay down and take a bunch of Motrin and
So how many times did you punch in the face?
a couple.
Oh, okay. All right. Also check us out on Anchor, and all our other streaming services. So here's what's great. I found out. So Pandora and Stitcher have combined. Um, so we're on Stitcher. So we are pending Pandora. So please check us out on Stitcher too. Because the more things start showing up on Stitcher, the better. Um, Anchor has been truly helpful for us, especially with the algorithm that they're showing. Everybody all over the U.S. I mean, there's plenty of you out there, so please interact with us. Enjoy. We love the conversation. That was the whole purpose of the is to have that conversation. Even if you want to if you are a liberal, if you're a liberal, great. Test us. Like, hey, but don't come on here just screaming at me like you're right, and when we can prove you wrong, don't get upset. Just the goal is to have the conversation.
Right.
um so being 47, oh man, this is we're going on our second year. Still can't believe we made it this long again. um um but man, tonight I wanted to talk about Kathy Griffin. I didn't want to get this past me at all. What was it? Earlier this week, Kathy Griffin decided to go on Twitter and go, "Oh, if you vote blue, you're great. If you vote red, you want a civil war."
Yeah. So what she specifically said was on Twitter is, if
If
you
you don't
don't
want a
want a
civil war,
civil war, vote Democrat. if you do want a civil war, vote Republican, which is a really weird threat.
I reported
Basically,
that
what she's saying is if you vote Republican, we're going to take arms against you.
I reported that Twitter. Reported that tweet to Twitter as hostile.
Yeah. I mean,
'Cause
you're talking
that's-
about the
that's
person
violence.
that you're talking about the person that took pictures with a severed Trump head with blood dripping off of it. And then
Yep.
claims that she was canceled by the right.
That bitch was never canceled.
No.
She wished she got canceled because then she could claim she was canceled. But no, she was never canceled. She just chose not to interact with anybody during the Trump. And that's the thing. I don't
So-
see celebrities right now giving Biden the same treatment that Trump had when he was president.
Well, no, because they're all liberal. I mean, so we're talking about Kathy Griffin. First off the top of your head, can you remember anything she actually did? Like as a celebrity, like what movies she was in, or stand up? Like, was she on SNL or?
She was on SNL. I remember her on SNL.
Okay. Like I can't
I do
think
remember
of
some movies. As we're talking, I'm pulling her IMDb because
I was gonna say,
honestly,
did she have like a TV show?
I honestly can't.
She probably had like a TV show on A&E or something, or AMC or something like that.
Yeah. And she's from Chicago. All right, so she was on The Cable Guy, Suddenly Susan, Hall Pass, Shrek Forever. She was on the show Crank Yankers. Really? I didn't remember her on Crank Yankers.
I don't remember anybody on Crank Yankers. They were a bunch of dolls. I don't know who voiced what.
Right? She was in the movie Hall Pass. I'm like, really?
I really don't remember that movie. I know I saw it.
Oh, she did the presidential documentary of the fall of Donald Trump in 2019. But no one, I really doubt that fucking even got anywhere. Really?
So, but I mean, Kathy Griffin,
I mean, the last TV show she was really in that meant anything was the Drew Carey show, and she was on one episode of The Simpsons. So you know what? She can fucking kick rocks for all I goddamn care.
So basically, her whole thing now is being a violent leftist. And when I say violent, I mean it. She's calling for violence here. She's calling for a civil war. Me and you and people on the right, we know a civil war is coming. We don't know when. We hope it doesn't. But we know that the way things are going with the ideological divide, it's a major possibility. She's actually calling for it. She's telling people, she's trying to scare people. Vote our way or we will be violent.
Well, that's what most of Antifa is. It's either because there was a guy who did an interview with some Antifa members. They're like, "Oh yeah, violence is a strong political tool," and I'm like, "Yeah, because you're just because you're just you're charging the area." So
yeah,
or new IRS. I won't. I mean, they're claiming that they need the new IRS because there's a lot of people retiring, and I honestly call bullshit. As if you're gonna arm the IRS, what the fuck are you worried about people in a call center retiring?
Right. And but the thing is that's weird is
she's not
the only one this week because Jennifer Lawrence, remember, did you see what she had?
I'm gonna roll my eyes at her. No, her and her fucking cunt bag self can donkey lips. I'm sorry.
She was in No, AOC. Oh God, this week was
AOC
weird.
was in GQ,
GQ. She was in Vogue
something like
or
that. Yeah, she
something
was
like
on.
that.
Yeah, Vogue, but she was like, "Oh man, I gotta worry about the struggle between me versus my conservative family, and I had nightmares of Tucker Carlson."
Yeah,
The
like
fact that
who
you're
the
dreaming about Tucker Carlson kind of just means you're a little demented.
you have to be you have to not right in the head if you're dreaming or having nightmares about a person that literally sits behind a desk and talks. That's his whole job. That's his whole life. He sits
And the
behind a
thing is,
desk
you know how many
and
people
talks, and she watches him on a square, on a glass square, and she has nightmares about him.
Yeah, I
Like, what
mean,
is he all of a sudden putting a mask on? The Jason Voorhees mask and chasing her around with a machete.
I would more think that Tucker Carlson would be more the Freddy Krueger suit with the sweater and the claw.
No, no, Tucker Carlson. I can see him more like um like
No,
Saw, like the
Guilford.
guy from Saw.
No,
Like,
Guilford from Fox. That would be more Freddy Krueger.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Uh
I
no,
do
no,
love his antics though. Guilford from Fox. I love his antics when he does his shows on there because he doesn't hold punches.
now
And
Greg Gutfeld, he is
yeah,
definitely Michael Myers.
yes, yeah, yeah. No, no, I
Like
can.
he's a much more out of shape Michael Myers, but he's a Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And
So
and his weapon is I'm going to make amazingly funny puns about you.
that could work. Um, somehow Kathy ever fucking heard this. Kick rocks. You know what? You're in the same bracket as Sarah Jessica Parker, horseface.
You know, generally I'm attracted to women with red hair.
Fuck that bitch.
Not this time.
No, no.
Um
Oh no.
so
I
some of the
mean, like,
replies on this. So Tim Young said basically what we're saying. So Kathy Griffin is now threatening civil war on behalf of the Democrats if Republicans win. Okay. Uh she actually replied at one point, you guys, this is Kathy Griffin. You guys, the MAGA blue checks are at it again because they are constantly threatening civil war. She just fucking threatened civil war. Because they are constantly threatening civil war, they are now trying to suggest that I'm the one threatening civil war. Because you did, bitch.
that it never. Uh, it
Like,
doesn't
how
make
else can
a
you take
lick of
that?
sense.
How else can you take that tweet? How else can you take that tweet? Vote for us, or if you vote for the other guys, there will be civil war.
It's exactly what she said.
I mean, there's no other, I can't think of any other way. Like, so many things in life like can be taken like depending on the tone um of how it's taken. So, like the whole Donald Trump calling up the governor of Georgia saying find me 12,000 more votes. That depends on the tone. If the tone was you find me 12,000 more votes now, that's a lot different than, well, I think with everything going on, there's got to be 12,000 more votes. There's got to be. Just find me them 12,000 votes. We know that they're there. Find them for me. Like, that's a whole different tone than what the left is trying to say he did.
He was mocking it because, like, every time they would recount, like, votes would just fucking show up somewhere, and it's like, don't get me wrong. I mean, not
Didn't that
questioning
happen
the
with Al
election.
Franken though? Remember the Al Franken when he got elected to, was it Senate, I think?
Yeah, my
And somehow they found like enough votes in the back of a trunk of a car.
yeah, yeah, that
Like
never
that was
got
so
delivered.
sketchy. Yeah, that was so sketchy.
So before YouTube has a conniption, no, we're not questioning it. We're questioning what took place in Georgia.
Right.
um, but yeah, I mean, fuck them. Um, it wasn't. He wasn't demanding. He was saying he was going off of the situation during that time. He goes, "Hey, well, every time you recount the votes, fucking more votes are just appearing out of nowhere." That's what he was
Well,
getting at.
again, that's an interpretation though. When you say find me 12,000, it depends on the tone.
Mm-hmm.
The tone is what makes the statement. In this case, there is no way that you can change the tone. You know, if you don't want a civil war, vote for the Democrats. But if you do, vote Republican. Like, even if you make it nicey nice like that, it's still a threat. If if you don't want me to stab you in the face, vote Democrat. If you do, if you want me to stab you, vote Republican.
Well, I mean, as this is showing right here, the first when I click on her tweet, the first person right below it showing Kathy Lee Griffin holding a severed head.
A bloodied severed head, the one she did in 2017.
The thing is, if that was anybody else, they would have been in jail. Because this is
I don't
actually
know about jail for that, because she, in order for that, she has to make an actual call to action.
yeah. I
Holding
mean,
a severed, it's disgusting. It can definitely be taken that way, but she didn't make a call to action. I am the one thing that I am very um uh equivocal on against both sides is, if there's no call to action, then there's no legal standing, in my opinion.
yeah. No, I agree on that.
So that whole Trump should be held responsible for January 6th. No, there was no call to action. The shooter for the congressional shooter, at the congressional baseball, that said he did it because of Bernie Sanders. There was no call to action. Bernie Sanders should not be held responsible, even though
No.
he said a bunch of dumb shit.
Yeah. All
Same
right,
thing.
so-
Barack Obama is not responsible for the officers that were gunned down in Dallas,
Nope.
because he did not tell them to do it. There was no call to action. Now, if there
No.
was, however, the way Kathy Griffin is putting this sounds kind of like a call to action. If you do want civil war, vote Republican. Kind of sounds like a call to action.
So since we're talking social how social media is being used, this was announced today. Was the White House is having the Congress uh try to remove the Section 230 liability shield on tech companies. If you don't realize how dangerous this can get, this is what true dictatorship will look like an authoritarian government, like Russia, China. Because if it doesn't partake in their narrative, they will consider it disinformation.
Well, let's talk real quick. Section 230 is a part of the Communications Decency Act of 1996.
Mm-hmm.
basically what Section 230 said is platforms. So that would have been like radio stations, newspapers on the internet, forums on the internet, on a newspaper article, um, radio stations. If somebody calls in and says something, but it's not actually from them, if it's like the phone company would be considered a platform. If somebody says something there that is illegal, you can't hold the platform accountable for that. Now, if it's an editorial, that is different. So they give them leeway to say, hey, something bad. So, okay, we own our website. Heaven forbid somebody posts child pornography on our website. As soon as we see it, if we take it off, we have editorial to take off something like that that's illegal. But as long as we're not knowingly keeping it up and disseminating it, we can't be held responsible for that.
Correct.
It's the same way with social media. So Facebook and Twitter and all of them claim, well, we're a platform. Therefore, what people put on our platform, we can't be held responsible because we're just the platform. We're just, we're just the writing board. We don't actually do the writing itself. Now, there is the argument to be made that because Facebook fact checks people and all this stuff, that does make them kind of an editorial.
That was the big thing during while Trump was president, where a lot of that was coming in, where like, oh, if you're gonna fact check people like that and remove it without then you're not a platform.
Right. Remove it if you have guidelines. So you have guidelines on there. We don't have guidelines on ours, but I'm going with the Supreme Court's I know it when I see it kind of thing.
Yeah.
But so if they're editorializing and saying we're allowing this article about COVID, but not this article about COVID, well, then that means that they're deciding what goes on their platform, and therefore they're an editorial. In this case, what the White House is calling for is the removal of that, meaning they would be held liable for every single thing that is on. Going back to the child pornography thing, the FBI, I want to say it was maybe a couple of years ago, actually busted a Facebook group that was sending links to child pornography.
Ugh.
Because of Section 230, Facebook, not knowing about it because nobody reported it, they must have a couple billion posts a day, so they can't police everything, even with automation, especially in a private group. They would have, but without Section 230, Facebook would have actually been held liable. And that's kind of where the Biden administration is wanting to go with this, is if we take away your ability to protect yourself, then that means that we can then police Facebook and say what goes up there and what doesn't, because what we say goes, meaning you have to go with it or not. And if you go with it, then you're held liable. So if they, rather than charging somebody, I don't know if they can charge somebody with misinformation or disinformation, but if that's on there and the White House decides, saying a vaccine doesn't prevent COVID is misinformation, we're going to hold Facebook liable for that. And that's a really scary thing.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, think about it, it also not only would it be Facebook, but you also would think it would be Twitter, it'd be YouTube,
Google,
Google, um,
Apple,
Apple,
because Apple Podcasts. Apple Podcasts is
hmm
a platform. We put our podcast
Spotify,
up, it goes, yeah, Spotify, all of
and
that. They don't like what
so
Joe Rogan is saying. Well, rather than go, they can't go after Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan has First Amendment protections from the government. So what they do, they go after his platform
yep,
and say, fine, you can say whatever you want, but we're going to take away your ability to disseminate that. And that's what's bad is because, okay, when I went to college and I was going through journalism school, I was going through broadcasting, but journalism was a part of that.
yeah,
We were taught, and unfortunately, I think a lot of the legacy media still believes this. We were taught that journalists are the gatekeepers of information.
oh yeah,
That was our job because without newspaper, without television, without radio, before the internet, how else were you going to get information? Information moved really, really slowly then because it had to be word of mouth. However, the internet changed that gatekeeper because now us can put something out there that CNN or MSNBC or someone else wouldn't give us the platform to be able to say.
hmm
By doing this, they're taking away that and bringing back the gatekeepers again. It's a way of silencing information again by saying nobody can listen to you. Or we go back to, remember the old days of HTML and websites and
oh Jesus,
before Google trying to find a
oh my
website?
God,
Remember Ask
doing everything
Jeeves?
by the IP address. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I don't think I
And
could. I don't think
and
I
you
would
had
want to do that again.
and you had people had blogs, but there wasn't any like blogging websites. So
There
you would
kind
tell
of
people,
was. I mean, there was. It wasn't. I forgot what some of them were called, but
well, there was
there.
like
I mean,
LiveJournal and that,
yeah.
but I'm talking like, you know, if we had a okay, if we had a podcast or have a podcast, we do have a podcast.
Yeah, we
We're
have a
talking on the
podcast.
podcast. We do.
Yeah.
Okay. Without Facebook, without Twitter, without any social media, without Apple Podcasts, without Stitcher, without any of that,
Mhm.
um, Spotify, the only place we could house our podcast is on our website.
Yep.
And
Man, it'll
then,
be like way back in the day.
and then, how do you get the information out to people about your website without a social media platform where people can just share your stuff?
You know what we should bring back? We should let Tom bring back MySpace because we love Tom.
I
Tom
swear
didn't
MySpace
censor
is still
us.
around.
I think it is, and and people use it, and on there, people
There's
just
still a
don't care.
MySpace. um, I'm looking at it right now. Wonder if I can still sign in. I don't even remember what my old login was.
I tried to. I couldn't remember the email that I used when I had my MySpace doesn't exist anymore. So like,
MySpace primarily, I'm looking at this, looks like a bunch of indie rock bands.
well, you got to remember Justin Timberlake bought it for mainly for music.
Ah,
But if
that's
you
why it's
still
all
had,
music and indie rock. Okay.
but if you had it the whole time prior to that, your page still exists on that server.
Oh my God. I don't even know if I want to go back to see my page because remember how you would embed the HTML code and everything
Oh
would
my
be
God.
flashing and oh.
I don't know. I think I would induce like seizures on a
I
few of
think
my
so
friends'
too.
pages.
Like it would be, we would have to end this podcast right now if I was able to log in because I'd have an instant migraine. Be like, oh, I went to
Oh,
MySpace. Now I have a migraine. I need to go lay down for the next 4 days.
yeah, right. Good lord. But I think that's where a lot of people are like, because I saw a TikTok where people are like, man, there's Tom. Tom gave us this wonderful platform, and we took full advantage of it. Then here's this jackass, Mark Zuckerberg, who gave us Facebook.
Now, remember, I was in college when Facebook first came out. I was in my last year of college when it was called College Facebook, and I remember
Yeah,
that.
because I think at
'Cause
the
it only
time for you to get on Facebook was while you were at at your school.
You had to use your university email address, and you
Mm-hmm.
could only connect to the people at your school.
Yep.
So I could connect to people
Well, we
in
got to
my
remember
classes.
that was how the internet originally worked. It was only at the universities or only at school. There was no internet.
Not in 2005.
Oh no, back in like the mid 90s, late 90s, it was like high speed internet.
Yeah, high speed
Um,
internet. I was gonna say I had dial up in
I
the
had
mid
dial
90s.
up in like 95. Yeah.
But
I remember
uh
LAN parties and everything.
oh my god, I remember my roommates and friends going to LAN parties to play games against each other
We
because they
played,
couldn't play them.
it was Age of Empires, World of Warcraft, the original World of Warcraft, StarCraft,
And
or
my
Doom.
and my roommate had this big like 50 port LAN
Yeah.
that I swear the thing was like the size of a microwave that he would lug around to go to these parties. And yeah, it would be like,
And the thing is, you got to remember how big the computers were back then, too.
and that
So,
was
like,
the other thing too. He would take his whole computer with him, CRT monitor and all. It would take him like half a day to set everything up.
we're going to have a LAN party Friday. Bring your
And
computer by Thursday so we can make sure everything connects.
yeah, they had one at our apartment once, and it was like every place. Like there was people like playing on the ground because there was no like space for them to put their
Oh, yeah.
monitor and stuff.
That was when
I'm
you
like,
had.
I'm going into my room. I am locking the door.
That's
guys
when
have
you
fun.
had like Surge Protector connected to Surge Protector.
Oh yeah, they did.
Connected
Oh yeah.
to Surge Protector because you
And
would have like
and the thing is it was
hooked
winter.
to one outlet, and it's
It
like
was winter, and I come out, and I swear our apartment had to have been 100 degrees. And I'm like, open a freaking window. It's
because those
like
CRT monitors would just bellow
Oh,
out
and
heat.
and I'm sure all them surge protectors and everything were like so close to popping and like overheating. Oh, it was bad.
Oh yeah, those were like fires waiting to happen. What happened? We don't know. Oh well, you had like 4 surge protectors plugged into one outlet.
Yeah.
Well, we had to power these 30 computers.
Not to
'Cause you
mention
gotta
this
remember,
LAN, because the
what?
LAN had to have its own power too.
LAN had
And then
its
they
own
had-
power.
And then wires. Cat. Well, was it Cat? Was it Cat 5 at the time, or was it something earlier?
It was Cat 3.
I don't remember.
It was either
back
that
then.
or it was no, it was T1. It was T1.
That's right. T1 Ethernet.
It was T1 Ethernet for the
Yes.
LAN parties. So
And they would have that strewn everywhere. It looked like spaghetti.
God.
Just
it
and
was
people are playing and they're drinking Mountain Dew and Mountain Dew Code Red. Everyone was Mountain Dew Code Red.
Mountain Dew Code Red, or you went to Taco Bell and got a big cup of Baja.
And like I say, like people were on the floor and they were playing like that. I'm stepping over people. I'm like, yeah.
Or you're poor like me and we went to the Dollar Tree and we got Shasta Cola for $1. It was like a 3-liter jug of soda.
Oh no, people were People were getting the well, in Michigan we have Moon Mist, which is basically the Fago knockoff of Mountain Dew, but it was 3
Fago.
liters.
Fago. Good. That makes me think of ICP.
Oh, they're Michigan. We drink Fago everything. You have never had a root beer float until you've had it with Fago root beer.
Fucking garbage are you talking about?
Oh, Fago root beer.
No.
With
Root beer float is A&W root beer.
no
Oh yeah, fuck your
Fago root beer.
Fago.
Fago root beer float, Rock and Rye, which was Red Pop. Fago Red Pop was Rock and Rye. Actually, I just got a Rock and Rye Slurpee at 7-Eleven today.
There's a restaurant, I think somewhere, that they serve a chocolate cake shake. I really got to try it.
Chocolate cake. So they take a chocolate cake and put
They
it
take
into
a
shake?
slice of chocolate cake and they put it into a blender and they turn it into an ice cream shake.
A milkshake. I could see that.
Fucking sounds. I've been seeing it all over the place. I'm like, I gotta find out where this restaurant is. I gotta go there. My fat ass has got to try it because I love chocolate cake.
But the question is, in the article, do they give a reason why he wants to get rid of it? Called for revoking the liability shield.
The assumption is to for fundamental reforms and to tone down extreme content and hate speech. As we all know, ultra magas, it's as Kim Jong Pierre said, if you don't think like us, then you're an extremist.
You're an other. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to, okay, you know what the Overton window is. You know the theory
Yeah.
of the Overton window?
Yeah.
Okay. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to shift the Overton window so anybody that doesn't, and narrow it so that only their views fit inside that window, and anybody outside is an other. And if you're an other, that's like being a Jew in Germany in 1933.
So either you're basically, if this gets repelled, it's either you're with them or we're fucked.
Either you vote with us or you want civil war.
Wow. Kathy Griffin was getting somewhere with that. All right. So
according to this, according to Politico, mind you, it's
Mhm.
Politico, not a right-wing publication. Democrats want to hold tech companies liable for extremist content, hate speech, and misinformation. Mind you, they don't say disinformation. Those two have different meanings. Disinformation, a disinformation campaign is usually what a foreign government does.
well, I
The
mean,
U.S. has done it many times also, where they intentionally put out false information during an uprising or during an election to try to sway into a favor that the other country wants. That's disinformation. They said misinformation, which basically means anything that we don't agree with. Mind you, again, 6 months ago, saying that the vaccine didn't prevent COVID was considered misinformation.
And Fauci was taking kickbacks. Misinformation.
Saying that they're
Shut down. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Misinformation.
The Wuhan theory that it came from a lab, the lab leak theory, misinformation. All of that was considered misinformation. Misinformation changes as you get new information, or until the people that control the information finally decide to acquiesce. So they want to cut. They want to hold the companies responsible for that, while this again from Politico, while Republicans want the platforms to be liable for censoring conservative viewpoints. If Republicans
Mhm.
win the House in the midterms, they're expected to push bills addressing anti-conservative bias, which they should. Honestly, the whole idea is if you don't like what I have to say, have a better argument. If there's misinformation, point out the misinformation with the truth. That's what free speech is. Free speech doesn't mean you have to like what everybody says, but free speech means you can say what you want to say, and I'll say what I want to say, and the person that's listening to both or seeing both can decide which one they think is more valid.
No, I mean, you're
But
not wrong.
the
I mean,
Democrats want to shut conservatives up so that the person watching from the outside that isn't sure only hears their point of view. Therefore, they have to agree with them. That's what Biden wants. That's what the Democrats want.
hey, look, we're fighting Russia and Ukraine, but yet we're going to become Russia because Russia actually does this.
Yeah, you know what else does?
Ukraine
You know
actually
who else
does
did
this too.
You know who else did this? Mussolini.
Stalin.
Guess what Mussolini was? A fascist.
I don't know. Yeah.
You know, the people that claim that that only Republicans can be fascists are doing all this fucking fascist stuff.
So you remember what the military does, right? They don't like to point the finger because there's always fingers pointing back at you. So
Yeah,
they do
that's
the
why they
knife
use-
hand.
Yep.
So the Democrats are doing like this. They're like, oh yes, point, point, point. But yet they know they're more in the wrong, but they don't. They want make people to believe that, hey, we're not fascist. But the thing is, they're following the fascist trademarks and the fascist
Like
acts.
they're hitting every point. The only thing they haven't done yet is rounding people up. That's just the matter. They're just working towards that. Even Germany didn't round people up right away.
Well, 85,000 new IRS agents
With guns.
with guns. I
Mind
told my
you-
kids and my wife, I said, if an IRS agent knocks on the door, and he said, you do not open the door, you will call 911, you'll tell people that there's someone out there with a quote badge that is not a police officer is trying to gain entrance to your home, and let the state police take care of it from there.
The
Oh yeah, I'm
But
calling
it's-
the cops on the IRS agents in a
And the-
heartbeat.
the thing is think about the hypocrisy though that you have to live with on the left to say we want to get rid of everybody's guns so that you can't protect yourself. Well, what if you need to protect yourself? Well, that's what police are for. But didn't they also just say that police are bad and only want to hurt and kill people?
You
Like,
can't be pro police and pro insurrection. How does one thing work with another?
Right. Like, listen, I'm pro military, but if the military comes marching down my road, I'm probably going to be against them at that point.
It will definitely be a challenge.
So, my call to everybody right now, based on what we're seeing, just on these two articles that we just mentioned, the one about Section 203 and the Kathy Griffin stuff, start buying ammunition. If you can't buy more guns, don't worry
We'll
about
talk
it.
about that too.
Buy more ammunition. Stock
this
up.
is where your vote's really going to matter, everybody. Just remember, November, vote vote for the situation that is going on. If you want to see change, I will say vote for Republicans. Cause the thing is, if you vote in all the rest of the Democrats, you're not going to get change. You're going to get shut everything the fuck down. Hell, we're going to go away if that fucking happens because we'll get censored the fuck out of.
Right.
So I won't be able to say fuck on the air anymore. They'll probably get the FCC on me again. But when you were talking about ammo, so I saw New York is requesting credit card companies to come up with new transaction codes
To track.
for guns and ammunition to track everyone who is buying guns and ammunition so they can, quote, decline it. And I'm like, no, don't. You have, that's none of your goddamn business.
Again, that's why we need a non-centralized currency like Bitcoin, Ethereum, something that the government or credit companies that basically do the work of the government can't touch. Because the government can come in and they can freeze all your assets. But
Well, look what that's what happened in China.
But they can't, yeah, but they can't freeze cryptocurrencies because you don't keep them in a bank. And I don't know much about crypto, but I do know that down at the mall right now, there's actually a crypto ATM that you can, I guess, I don't know if you have to put in like the long string for your account or if you take a USB or whatever you do, but you can actually trade it for cash at that.
Yeah, there's a couple of sheets here in PA and towards the Maryland border actually have a Bitcoin ATM.
Yeah.
Like you'll get a Bitcoin card and your information's actually saved on the card so you can actually withdraw it. And I'm like, ain't that some fucking shit? I really wish I got more into that when the information was coming out.
Right.
And
when it first came out, what I really feel bad with about myself is I didn't trust it because I didn't trust something that I couldn't tangibly.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was. I was like, now, how do I know?
The big problem with Bitcoin or with crypto right now is that it basically runs on the stock market. So, you put, say you have $1,000 in the bank and you have $1,000 in Bitcoin. Even with inflation, you still have tomorrow $1,000 in bank.
That's the same way with NFTs.
Yeah, I don't understand them.
I don't understand. It's like a picture, like a little doodle that's worth money. And I'm like,
it's like trading a painting, a digital painting. Like,
yeah,
rich people will invest in paintings.
Yeah,
it's basically that, but it's digital. But I know people. Oh God, who was it? He played Oz on Buffy.
That's Seth Green.
Seth Green, thank you. He actually got burned on that. He spent a lot of money buying an NFT, and then evidently the person like made a bunch of copies or something of that NFT, and it was worth nothing.
Yeah,
or something like that. But that's the other thing. So again, when it comes to Bitcoin, if I have $1,000 in Bitcoin, which is like 0.0001 now, of a Bitcoin. If I have $1,000 in Bitcoin, tomorrow I may have $1,000, I may have $1,500, or I may have $500.
Or you may have $1.
Or I may have $1. If I want to buy something, say I sell you my car, and and Ryan, you give me $5,000 in Bitcoin for my car, great. At the time, it's a transaction just like money. But as soon as tomorrow hits and Bitcoin drops, now all of a sudden I didn't get it for $5,000. I got it for $2,000. So that's the only problem with Bitcoin is it's not stable enough.
Yeah.
Not that our money is becoming any more stable. It's becoming less probably, but
I mean, we're giving money to you. We've given more money to Ukraine.
we're somehow this administration is somehow going to stop inflation by putting more money into the market, which causes inflation.
They're doing what is called trickle down economics.
No, that's not trickle down.
And it's been proven that trickle down economics does not work.
No, what they're doing is not trickle down economics. Trickle down economics, which is actually a leftist term. Okay, so that's why I hate that term. All it is supply side economics.
Oh yeah.
Meaning, if we cut the amount of overhead on the supply side of a product, that means that the product can be sold for less, which will benefit the people in the end. It will allow the companies to be able to hire more people. It'll allow, and supply side economics, quote unquote, trickle down, when it comes to tax cuts and stuff like that, does work.
Mm-hmm.
What this government is doing is not. They're just infusing more money into the economy. And inflation, by definition, still to this day, by definition, is too much money chasing too little goods.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I mean, the government this year has decided just to print more money, because why the fuck not? And then he likes to say, "Oh yeah, I've brought down the deficit." The only reason why we spent more money during Trump near the end is because they were trying to get COVID research in. They were trying to. It's when COVID hit. It just fucking happened that way.
The conspiracy
and then everyone was wanting stimulus
that
checks.
It was planned, but
this was an actual planned thing.
But because Trump would have walked away with the presidency in 2020 had COVID not hit.
In a heartbeat. I know he would have still run away with it if Facebook and Twitter did not muffle the Hunter Biden story.
Right, but even with them doing that, if it wasn't for COVID, he would have ran away, because we would have had a great economy. We would have had low unemployment. We would have had low inflation. We would have had,
dude, we would have probably had under $2 gas.
Well, we would have.
Because by that, think about it. So if he had won, the pipeline would have been put ahead, and then we would have.
And gas was at like $2.30 at the time, I think, before COVID.
By my house, gas was $2.20 before COVID hit.
Yeah. So, and we wouldn't have had problems with the medical fields. We wouldn't have had problems with any of that. The voting. We wouldn't have had these mass mail-in ballots. We wouldn't have had any of that. We wouldn't have had governors that decided we're going to randomly shut down the state. We're just going to shut down the state forever. My governor, dear God, I hope she loses, used some arbitrary 1945 law that was intended for wartime, like if we're invaded, to say that she's going to take over the state of Michigan and prosecute barbers and gyms and anybody that got together or went up north to their cabin. So had that not happened, Trump would have walked away with it.
Oh yeah.
But the other thing too, though, is saying that he lowered the deficit. That's like me saying, "Oh, honey, last month I put $5,000 on our credit card because I bought, you know, all of this really nice furniture and everything, and then this month I only put 1,500 on our credit card because I didn't need to buy furniture." Well, you still owe that money back. Just because you went from 5,000 to 1,500 doesn't mean that you made a surplus. Now, if I said, honey, we spent 5,000 last month because I bought a bunch of furniture and everything, and this month we actually made $300 more than we spent, then that's a different story. But that's all they're
Yeah.
doing. That's all Biden is doing. So whenever anyone says, like they did that with the 90s, at the end of the 90s, saying that Clinton balanced the budget and lowered the deficit. I'm like, well, for one, it wasn't Clinton, it was the Republican Congress. Two, again, that's like saying, oh, I
Well,
went
yeah,
from
because
5,000 to
the Republican
$3,000.
Congress during the Clinton presidency wouldn't let him run away with all his spending.
Wouldn't let
So,
him do
but he was
anything.
able to balance the budget to a point to where we were starting to see a positive turnaround to versus what was going out versus what was coming in. Still had the deficit, but we were starting to see more of a profit
Right.
coming in. That's what was happening. How they were wording it was dumb. And then that all fucking turned around after 9/11, which
Well,
fortunately
then you
will be
had Bush
Sunday.
that completely blew it out. Obama blew it out further. Trump, did go further than that. And
Yeah.
now Biden is going even further. So, yeah. So all of this is just word games. It's like, did you hear Karine Jean Pierre talk about when Peter Ducey asked her about um, her questioning the 2016 election?
I love
She's like,
that.
well, that was
I
different.
think I sent you that clip too. Um,
It might be somewhere.
but
See if you can find it. Because I mean, it's a really good clip. But basically, what she did is it's all word games. That's all it is. And
word salad, yummy, yummy.
yeah, it's all it is. And so, you know, her claiming, she goes, "Oh, I knew you were going to ask this." Well, if you knew it, why didn't you prepare an actual response? Instead, what you do is you go off on this weird tangent that saying that it was she was calling for different things, and she was saying she wasn't questioning the the election, the president, or anything like that. And it's like
She was questioning the election rules of that
the
time, and I'm like,
process. She was questioning the process and not the outcome. And it's like, no, you were, again, we have it in writing. It's pretty solid in there. So,
it's
you
just,
know, that's the thing with all this, is them changing and uh saying, well, we're not lying. No, you're just changing the definitions, you're changing the rules, you're changing the norms, you're changing everything that people know. Like saying, oh, we're not in a recession, even though every economist says, oh yeah, this is a recession. Oh no, it's not a recession because it's a transition. Well, you and your leftist friends can call it whatever you want, but the fact is it's no different than what happened in 2008. It's no different than what happened in 2000. It's no different than happened multiple times in the 70s or in 1929.
think I found it. Hold on.
Okay.
No, that's not it. And all, but no, I That's not it. Oh.
I'm looking. Sorry, people, for sorry for this. We really want to find this clip because this is an important clip.
Oh, I found the one where she defines an extremist.
I'll play that for right now, real quick. Again,
So I think I sent it to your TikTok. I don't remember.
Are not with where majority of Americans are, then that is extreme. That is an extreme way of thinking.
What did you say?
So what she said right there is usually if you're not with most of it, but you got to remember like 39% only approve of him at this moment of time. I don't know what happened to it.
oh, I have to open up TikTok to on my phone to check.
I can't find it. I know I've seen it. I don't know how many times.
I know I had to have seen it at least 5 or 6 times. And okay.
Did you find it?
Yeah. Okay. Let me share this. All right. You see it? Yep.
There we go.
Attention on the MAGA Republicans. You tweeted in 2016
I knew this was
Trump
coming.
stole an election.
I was waiting, Peter, when you were going to ask me that question.
Well, great. Here we go. You tweeted Trump stole an election. You tweeted Brian Kemp stole an election. If denying election results is extreme now, why was
So
it
let's be really clear. That comparison that you made is just ridiculous. I have been. Well, you're asking me a question.
Yes.
Let me answer it.
And you said it was ridiculous.
I was talking specifically at that time of what was happening with voting rights and what was in danger of voting rights. That's what I was speaking to at the time. And here's the thing. I have said Governor Kemp won the election in Georgia. I've been clear about that. I have said President Trump won the election of 2016, and I've been clear about that. What we are talking about right now is, let's not forget what happened on January 6, 2021, when we saw an insurrection, a mob that was incited by the person who occupied this campus, this facility at that time. And it was an attack on our democracy. Let's not forget, people died that day. Law enforcement were attacked that day. That
my thing is
we were seeing at the time. That's what the president has called out, and that's what he's going to continue to call out. So yes, when you have MAGA Republicans, a extreme part of Republicans who just deny or do not want to really say what exactly happened on that day, or say it was a protest when it clearly was not a peaceful protest. That's not what we saw on that day. Yes, the president's going to call that out. And here's the thing: majority of Americans agree with him. Majority of Americans agree with this president on protecting our democracy, protecting our freedom, and protecting our rights. That's what we're talking about today, and that's what the president's going to focus on. All right, we're going to have to.
Just trying to understand the new.
So she didn't answer the question. She says it was about voting rights.
Which had nothing to do with that time frame. And the thing is, she talked about January 6th, which I haven't seen a lick of information like since the last hearing. And actually, the last time I think January 6th was really popular is right before Liz Cheney lost her incumbency. So I think that was the downfall, but there was something on Politico about it that they're doing a privileged ruling investigation still. So they're still pulling staff, and people are it's dumb. They just need to let it go. And one, I watched the speech. I didn't go. I thought about going, but no, I'm very happy I didn't, because they were pulling people's cell phones if you were in that vicinity of the Capitol during it, and they were being called in for questioning, which I think is absolutely dumb.
Well, she says you can call it, you can't call it a protest because there was violence. Can we call it a mostly peaceful protest?
I mean, the police let people in.
Right, but they're going to say the whole summer of love in 2020 was mostly peaceful. They said that about Kenosha.
I loved it when CNN they said it was mostly peaceful with a building on fire right behind them.
Right.
Yeah.
So if they're going to call them riots mostly peaceful, there was thousands of people there and only what, maybe 100.
But that was at the height of COVID. But you couldn't get COVID while you were protesting at a Black Lives Matter.
But so she can say it wasn't a protest because it wasn't peaceful. Then let's do the same thing that they like to say about the BLM riot or protests. They were mostly peaceful. January 6th was mostly peaceful. I have friends that were there. They were blocks away from the Capitol building on January 6th. They didn't even know it happened until, hours later. So in that respect, let's use their same verbiage. It was a mostly peaceful protest.
Yeah, I can agree. Yep. January 6th, mostly peaceful protest.
Yeah. Based on their definition, it was a mostly peaceful protest.
That was
that
was set up by the FBI.
That's also like saying, O.J. Simpson was mostly peaceful the night he murdered, but he was mostly peaceful that night. He only murdered
for a man who murdered his wife, he did that slow drive on that highway and that white.
Oh,
see, I think that's where
the white Bronco.
That's where
right.
Ford, I think, messed up. That's where Ford messed up. Like, they had the opportunity when they were re-releasing the Bronco. They should have done O.J. Simpson white.
Yes.
Yeah, give the man a little bit of royalties whatsoever because we're using your name, but they missed that opportunity, I think. And but yeah, January 6th, mostly peaceful. We'll come to that conclusion. If you feel I'm wrong or feel that we're wrong,
yeah,
please explain. Let us know.
Honestly, I want you to tell us why you think it wasn't a mostly peaceful protest. That's the name of our episode. Right there. January 6th. Or just put a mostly peaceful protest for the name of the episode.
Mostly peaceful protest. There we go. Do that. All right. So with that being said, I'm trying to figure out what happened in Illinois. So they're getting rid of their cash bail system. And I have a nice little fucking video for that thing, because that made absolutely no sense. Let me find it. I think I sent it to you too.
The reform under the Safe-T Act, that's weird, act that eliminates cash bail will open the doors to freedom for many people currently locked up who can't make bail. But Grundy County Sheriff Ken Briley is raising concerns because the law will ban arrest for people accused of certain misdemeanors. He cited trespassing as an example. So,
oh no, it gets worse. So I found it. All right. So this guy is going to tell exactly what this is going to be going over.
As of January 1st, 2023, the following things will go into effect, and people need to be aware of this. It abolishes cash bail for almost every offense. This includes, but isn't limited to, kidnapping, armed robbery, second-degree murder, drug-induced homicide, aggravated DUI, threatening a public official, and aggravated fleeing and eluding. Offenders released on electronic monitoring have to be in violation for 48 hours before law enforcement can act. They could almost drive to Alaska before we can even look for them. It denies victims their constitutional rights. And keep this in mind, business. As of January 1st, 2023, the following.
So again, not to circle back. Ooh, haven't used that phrase in a while. Good old Psaki.
I actually miss Jen Psaki right now. I'd rather have Jen Psaki on the podium than
Peppermint Patty.
Oh my God.
So not to quote Psaki, but let's circle back to what I said about the left wants to disarm you so you can't protect yourself because there's police officers to protect you.
But hell, they limited, like in Illinois, you can't even protect yourself, or they won't protect you, because hell, they're not going to arrest you. They're gonna just say they're just gonna give you a citation for like drug-induced homicide or vehicle homicide or kidnapping,
or probably give you a
fucking
walking warrant.
Chicago is a sanctuary city.
Warrant. Yeah.
Illinois is a sanctuary state. And get this, like Texas is sending their migrants now to Chicago.
I know. Did you hear Lori Lightfoot? Oh, we talked about that last week.
Well, no, we talked about how they were going to Washington, D.C. and to New York. Well, they recently now starting to send them to Chicago. And Lori Lightfoot just fucking, like, I thought her bug eyes were about to fall out of her damn head.
Don't forget, the whole illegal immigration thing with the left is, as long as it's not in my back door or on my land, then I think illegal immigration is great. Let's bring everybody here, as long as it only affects, Texas and the red states.
Oh no, my favorite is when the fucking AOC is talking about legal asylees or something like that. I'll have to find out, but while we're talking, so no, so being a single, but a lot of people are coming up, and so we've always made the joke like, oh my God, they're going to take children. Like, think about how children are going to disappear because they're not going to look for them now.
Yeah, it's so crazy because, okay, arrest means more than just we're taking you into custody right now because you broke a law. arrest is also for the safety of the public. The fact is somebody is trespassing. Say somebody breaks into your house. Okay. If the police don't arrest that person, what's to stop them after the interaction of breaking into your neighbor's house? And in that house, maybe somebody's home and then they kill somebody. Like that's the point of that's the point of arresting, is that you get them into custody right away.
Mm-hmm.
And as our legal system is, you have to post bail. That's what a bail bondsman is for.
We all remember this. We all remember
Oh,
this.
yes.
Where
Yes, I love this.
Which includes family separation.
The same as is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their
If I get
parents.
arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Holman, with
family.
all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're in the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum and go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay.
Okay,
Come on.
okay. So should
Yeah, no. She gets fucking like
Well, the thing
her
is
shit
she
fucking
doesn't-
rocked in that.
she
Um,
doesn't even know the law. She's trying to question him, and she doesn't even know how the law works. She's going off of feelings. My feeling is if they're looking for asylum, then they're asylum seekers. If they say I
Then
want
they go
asylum,
through the
then
port of entry.
right. If they say they want asylum, then they're asylum seekers, and asylum seekers are not breaking the law, even though they may have entered the law into not through the port of entry. That just because they're still seeking asylum, they're asylum seekers. Therefore, they're perfectly fine people, and they shouldn't be arrested.
Well, they want them to be, New York wanted them to be able to vote even if they're not U.S. citizens.
Well, they're getting
They're
their
for-
chance now
and they're-
because they're getting hundreds of them shipped in.
Well, no, because the judge came back and said, no, you to vote you must be illegal. Because it's like you can't go to another country and vote in their elections. I can't go to England and vote for the next
Can't go to
prime minister.
Canada.
Can't go to Canada and vote. Wait, I thought all the liberals were supposed to go to Canada if Trump won.
Yeah, they never did. They're all talk.
Right.
Remember, they're all talk. Kathy Griffin
I
said
get-
she was going to go to Canada.
Wish she would. Shit. Who fucking cares about her? No one cares
No.
about her.
Brian's brain just exploded right now. Like,
Oh,
honestly,
God.
his eyes are shooting blood, and it's all over the computer screen.
Oh God, I really wish that was the case at this moment. There's been so much dumb this week. It's making me go,
I'm drinking Monster right now. I need to run down, play a video or talk or something. I need to grab
Sure.
my water real quick.
Yep, go for it. Well, we usually don't take a live break, but fuck it, we're gonna take a live break. If you haven't ever checked us out on Spotify, check us out there. Check us out on YouTube. Please always hit the like and subscribe. Let us know that you like us. If you hit the subscribe, you'll know when we go live. And then we have all sorts of stuff. Again, email us at firetalknetwork@gmail.com or call us at 814-380. I think I'd have this memorized by now, but it's 380-9820. While Jason is away, we're gonna get ready to set up for our next spot of I wanted to talk about eventually, we forgot to talk about, was Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio one doesn't date under 25 or dates only under 25.
He gets older, they stay the same age.
Right? No, but
Although
someone,
think about this, if you had a chance to only date girls that are under 25,
so this was out earlier back in August. It was on the list to talk about. We just kept
Putting it
never
off.
getting to it. Leonardo DiCaprio is using dark money to annoy people about climate lawsuits. So he's using money through a not-for-profit to file lawsuits about climate control while he is flying around on his little private jet, not giving a shit. He's fighting. They're having fights against like oil companies and everything. And
again, he's a Hollywood elite. You know,
yeah,
don't forget the people in Hollywood believe themselves to be royalty. The people in Washington believe themselves to be royalty.
But the thing
AOC, who was on GQ, thinks she's royalty.
thing is, he was doing this for years and nobody realized he was doing it up until recently. That's what makes that nuisance something I wanted to say something about, because it's like he's been doing it for 4 years now, since 2018, and they're now just saying something about it. Was what he did what roughly emails caught roughly. Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation announced $20 million to various climate conservation efforts, 5.2 million from RLF between 2017 through 2020, suits against California, Delaware, Minnesota, Rhode Island, New York, over against major oil companies. Fighting
The other
against
part is
precedents.
that they're creating these what they're calling arm length attorneys
Mm-hmm.
who tangentially represent them like on the outskirts, but don't have like a paper trail straight to the donors,
Correct.
including DiCaprio.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to touch on that because he's basically one of those shadow figures now that we've all talked about, like with the shadow government. There's people behind the scenes pulling strings in some way, shape, or form. And that's what he's using his money for. He's literally just pulling strings and just
And it's not
causing all
just
sorts
him.
of mischief.
The MacArthur Foundation, Rockefeller Brothers, JPB Foundation, William and Flora Hewitt.
Oh yeah, I never said it was
Hewlett,
just him. I'm just saying he's just one of the ones that got called out.
Have
for
all
it.
funded these.
Oh yeah. All right.
This is crazy. So when we talk about, deep state, shadow stuff, shadow governments, all of that, this is what we're talking about. And, these people that use their money but don't want to be associated with it because it looks bad publicly if it's found out. And they're doing things to try to control the lives of everybody else. This is, again, the difference between, and this is why it floors me every time I hear someone call a Republican or a conservative fascist, which is like, our whole idea is less government and get the hell out of my life. How is that fascism? Well, now they come back and say, because you want to control what women do with their bodies. No, women can pretty much do whatever the hell they want with their bodies until there's another body inside of their body.
Yeah, I mean, I understand Okay, so with abortion, if it's medically necessary, right? Like
To save the
it's
life.
save
Yes.
the life. Okay, so like, oh, the doctor said, well, if she brings this baby to term, she will die. Well, then, unfortunately, then that baby's going to get terminated. Um, that is a life saving measure, and I'm talking about you can't use abortion as birth control.
I take it even further. I don't believe in abortion for rape or incest because the baby should not be sentenced to death for the sins that the father created. Why should the baby get the death penalty?
No,
Would you get the death penalty if your father murdered someone?
No.
So if I murdered someone, I wouldn't expect the cops to pick up my son and kill him and put him on death row. But yet, when someone is raped, they want that child to be murdered. Yeah,
All
it
right.
sucks for the mom. Not saying it
All
doesn't.
right.
But
Now we forgot to talk about this last week. We touched on it, but we didn't really talk about it. How Bank of America has this new program. If you're not, if you was for Black and Hispanics, they're doing a 0 down for home buying in this housing market.
so Michigan has a program. I don't know if they still have it, but they did when I bought my house. Unfortunately, I didn't qualify. We were like just over the threshold, which was if you have a certain income, you don't have to put any down. They'll put up to $7,000 down.
Oh yeah.
That was based on income
Oh yeah.
to try to get, and only if it was your first home.
Yeah, we had my wife and I. We qualified for the first home buyers where we didn't have to actually have a deposit, but But the home that we were looking at had to meet the criteria.
Yeah, I think it's through like HUD or something like that.
Yeah.
Housing and Urban Development or something. But anyway, this right here. Now, the headline, and I have to read it. The headline says 0 cost mortgages for first-time home buyers in Black and Hispanic communities.
Nationwide.
It does not say you have to be Black or Hispanic in the headline. True. If it does say you have to be Black or Hispanic itself, then that violates the 16th Amendment.
So in the article going down, so as you were touching on that, so the option will be available for certain neighborhoods in like Charlotte, Dallas, Detroit, Los Angeles, and Miami. The applicants do not have to be Black or Hispanic to qualify, but they're looking about those types of neighborhoods.
Well, I can tell you, Detroit, housing is so cheap there because nobody wants to live there.
I want to still fucking live in Detroit.
Honestly,
Detroit's garbage.
Yeah. Honestly, a good portion of Detroit, I'm sorry, I still say we move everybody out, we blow the thing up and reformat it. And then move them back in, rebuild, like a computer. Hey, you know what? When the computer gets too out of whack, sometimes the best thing you can do is reformat it.
There's that
move
company,
all your documents off, and
there's a company up in upstate New York. They're starting to build 3D model homes out of a 3D printer. That's what you do. Fucking level. It does cement. It uses cement and it creates the walls and everything. But you don't stack it. Literally, it will use an oversized 3D printer.
It'll make the walls and everything. You still have to put a roof on and facade.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, you actually know the printer will do the roof and everything. It's like an angled flat roof. Um, but that's what you do. Detroit, knock everything down, have that company come in and just
Yeah.
build homes.
Because that's the thing with a lot of Detroit. I've driven through parts of Detroit where houses on entire blocks are boarded up, are vacant, because it's easier just to leave the house than to try to sell it. Let the bank
Yeah,
repossess it.
no one's gonna want to fucking live there.
And so
Their football team's the Detroit Lions. Fuck them.
At least in Detroit, I don't know how. I mean, maybe it'll help people. From what I'm seeing legally, I don't see a legal issue with this.
No.
I think it's just a part of the urban planning. Now, initially, when you brought this to my attention, the way that I understood it is they were giving it to blacks and Hispanics.
Yeah, the way a lot of people read it, I finally got a chance to sit down and actually read it, and I was like, well, that headline is very fucking misleading the way it is until you actually get into it. So they're trying to just get people to be, it's just
To
more
move into these areas.
Yeah,
What they're trying to do.
They're
is,
just trying to get people to move into the general area, which fine, good on them and all. But Bank of America is just I've never respected or liked Bank of America. I was in part of that one lawsuit they had about the overdraft fees. I would get a monthly check, I think for like years, for like $80 a month for like 4 years.
That would have been nice. I always knew Bank of America was shady, so I always avoided them.
Yeah.
But
my foster parents used Bank of America and they swore by them back in the day. So that's why I was like, oh, if they use them, it can't be that bad. And then I was fucking wrong. But shit.
but the thing is yeah, I mean, you do something like this. I mean, I guess I don't see an issue with it being in these areas. Basically what they're doing is they're saying we want people to move into more of the inner city areas, not moving away. How well this goes over, all I can speak for is Detroit, because I've been to Miami. But I was in like the more commercial part of Miami. And the only thing I can say with Detroit is good luck, because anybody that even buys a house in there is probably going to have to spend just as much money after they buy the house to make it livable again.
Yeah. I don't know.
And then with a lot of these, like if this is backed by HUD or anything like that, they're going to have so much paperwork and stuff to go through. They're going to have to go through so many inspections before they're even allowed to buy the house and all of that. The one good thing about our house, I guess, depending on your view, was that because we didn't qualify and we had to go with a traditional loan, we didn't have to pass a HUD inspection. So, I live in a 130-year-old house. No, it was built in 1884. So that'd be 140-year-old house.
Yep.
So it's got a lot of, the issues that 140-year-old houses have, and wouldn't have passed a lot of the inspections that HUD requires to be livable. Is it livable? Absolutely. We've been living here going on 10 years now. It's great. Does that mean I have to fix things a lot? I am becoming really, really good at fixing shit. I never knew I was so good at fixing shit.
Yeah. Yep. Well, speaking of fixing shit, so today Joe Biden was hanging out in Ohio, uh, doing it. Why was he at a groundbreaking for Intel? I couldn't fucking tell you.
Because they gave him
Uh,
money,
oh,
probably.
probably. He was there. He's like, oh, it's gonna be really, really big, and also we can have made in America Intel chips. Fine, but yeah, they're building it in Ohio, so they're trying to get people to live in Ohio. Ohio is a red state, which baffles me. Uh,
There's parts of it that are blue,
yeah,
and um, if something like Intel moves in, now a manufacturing plant probably will stay red for the most part, outside of like unions and stuff like
yeah,
that. But anytime tech moves into an area, it tends to bluify it
oh yeah.
because Democrats tend to go into tech. And I can
Alright.
tell you, I worked in technology. I worked in news. I was
So
the sole conservative everywhere I went.
so so speaking of Apple News, Apple launched the new Apple 14 iPhone.
Sweet.
Steve Jobs' daughter, I think it is, came out and said, "Wow, you took the Apple 13 and just stretched a little bit. That's it."
Well,
She was like, this is absolute. This is not what my father would have ever wanted for his company."
okay. Okay. I'm going to defend Apple
I
here.
was-
I'm going to defend Apple here. All of the iPhones and iPads in that respect too go on what is known as a TikTok basis.
yeah.
So a talk is where they make a big change. So they change the size of the phone, they change the bevel, they change the glass, they change um, the camera, they
Yeah.
all of that stuff. That's a talk. And usually that's every about 2 to 3 years. The tick is where they make minute changes. So maybe they rounded out the corners a little bit, but what they change is on the inside. They give it a faster processor. They give it maybe it's the same lens, but it has more megapixels. They changed some of the sensors in it. They changed. So that's called a tick. And it used to be that they would put the letter S after. So you had the iPhone 3, and then they had the iPhone, the iPhone, should I say, was like the first one. And then they did a talk to the iPhone 3G.
Mm-hmm.
Then they did a tick, iPhone 3GS, then iPhone 4, iPhone 4S, iPhone 5, iPhone 5S, iPhone 6, iPhone 6S,
I think what the
iPhone
iPhone
7.
4S was literally the debut of Siri. I
It
think
was,
that's
yeah.
all that. Yeah, that's all that was really.
It had a faster processor. It had more capacity on the hard drive, stuff like that.
I think that's
Um,
I think the only iPhone I actually owned was a 4S, and that was it. Then after that, I went back to Android. I was like, "Fuck this shit."
I've owned
Um,
iPhone since the first one came out. I won't go to Android.
because you're
But
a bitch.
this house only has Apple. Okay, we have Apple computers. We have an Apple iPhone.
See,
Unfortunately, my son's school, makes him have a Chromebook.
see, I would respect Apple more if they brought back the Macintosh line, the G5, the G6 line.
The
After
G's,
After Jobs passed away, they scrapped that whole Macintosh line.
they scrapped it before he left.
Well, yeah, I mean, but
They stopped. They started using Intels back in like 2006.
it's not the point. The Macintosh line is what made them. There was a a
They still
place
have
up.
iMacs.
Fuck iMac. No,
Well,
I
that's
like.
a part of the Macintosh line.
Yeah,
I'm talking to you on an iMac.
I've always they're towers. So
Well, they did have the Power PC,
mhm.
which looked like a trash can. It was weird, but that thing was really freaking powerful. And the reason that it was made like that is so that it could actually pull in air from both sides. It was like it was circular, looked like a donut,
Yep.
and it pulled air in not just from the outside, or no, it pulled air from the
I was
inside.
working
blew
I
it
was
out
working
so
at
that,
Best Buy the year that came out, and
Um,
I was like, the Apple rep needed one of the IT people to test it because I was like, I volunteer as tribute. It was a $4,000 PC,
Yeah.
and I took that thing home, and I was like, I worked that thing to death. And then I came in, they're like, "Do you think you could sell it?" I said, "It's gonna be a really hard sell for the price point, but sure, I'll try."
So, right here, their whole computer line is the Mac line. Um, so
Yeah, but they're all the
like
yeah,
the
no.
MacBook Air, MacBook Pro. Which Mac is right for you? They have the Mac Mini. Now
Yeah.
they don't have the old like Mac Towers like
Yep.
they used to. Which I had one of them. I had the G5, and that thing was a workhorse
One
back in the day.
the electronics refurbished store over on Penn State actually has a G5 tower sitting in it. Gutted, but it has the tower. And I'm like, oh, I don't know how much that would cost me to restore that, but that would be nice to have.
Oh, I am gonna floor you. Give me a minute.
Oh, Jesus. Well, Jason takes another walk away from his monitor to go into a closet. Jason's gonna do. His house is haunted. If you everybody just watched, his microphone decided to move all on its own. Hey, you can just pack that up and send it to my house.
That's a heavy bitch.
You know what's funny when you walked away? Oh, I'll wait for you to put your headphones back on.
My headphones are caught. Okay.
You know what's funny when you walked away? I literally watched your microphone go left and then right and then back to center again. I was like, "Ooh, Jason's house is haunted."
Yeah, so that's my G5 power
You can
PC
mail
there.
it to my house if you want. I'll take
It
that.
costs too much. I have
To
thought
mail
about
or
I have
to
thought
use?
about gutting it out though and putting all new internals in it.
I was like, I'll take it. I'll fucking gut it.
But the nice thing about that I did like is that it was expandable.
Yes.
So you could take the whole thing apart. With the iMacs. And mind you, I don't have it here anymore. When I moved from Oregon back to Michigan, I decided not to lug that thing. I had one of the original iMacs, which is a part of the Mac line. It was blue, and it's just like the modern iMacs, but rather than being a flat panel, everything all in one right there, the thing was huge. It had a CRT screen, and you can look them up online. They were cool. I also had a lime green MacBook and or iBook. It was called an iBook. Lime green one that looked like a Fisher Price toy, but I used to edit video on that. So no, I mean, but the thing with the phones is that the iPhone 14 is probably a tick. It's not a talk. It's where maybe they change some of the internals to it, you know, change some of the bevel slightly. But it, for the most part, looks the same. That's why I tell everybody, even when I worked at Apple and still to this day, you know, I get my phone through my carrier because it takes you about 2 years to pay it off. And by that time, if you're on a tick year, then it's going to be another tick year, which means that it's going to change in that talk year and it's going to be a completely different phone. If you go from one phone to the next one every year that it comes out, you're going to have years where it feels like nothing changed. Even though it might be slightly faster, better processor or something, it's going to feel the same. So every two to 3 years, I'm on the iPhone 12 right now. And this spring, I'll probably be buying the 14.
Swear to God, that Kool-Aid must be that. I can't stand that Kool-Aid.
So
That's
my wife's
just
on
me.
the 11, my son's on the 10. My son's on the 10 because he got my old iPhone. And so come this spring, he'll probably get this 12. I'll pay to have a new battery installed because the batteries only last about 500 to 1,000 charges. So depending on how you use it, for the average person, it's roughly about 2 years.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing too with electric vehicles. So I get about 500 to 1,000 charges on my iPhone and just about any other lithium device that I own, since everything is lithium now.
Yeah.
And in a few years, depending on how I use it, if I drain it all the way, you know, they get charged cycles is what it's called. They get so many cycles. I have to replace the battery because all of a sudden you charge it up to 100%. Well, the battery's not going all the way to 100. It's only going to 70%.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and then it drops precipitously after that. The thing with the vehicles is when you're talking thousands upon thousands of dollars to replace the lithium batteries in them, and you're charging them every night.
Well, not if you're in California, you're not.
That's true. You're not allowed to charge them. They want you to buy the electric car, but not be able to drive it. But you know, they say, well, there's almost no maintenance to an electric vehicle. Yeah, but the maintenance to my vehicle comes out to a few $100 unless something big happens to it. You know, maybe then I might have a $1,200 or something like that. But if I have to spend, look it up, what's the cost to replace the batteries in an electric car? If I have to spend $10,000 to replace the battery every, 3 years, 4 years? Because I'm charging it every night.
I think it's like 5 years. 5 years. They're good for 5 years.
Well, it can't be 5 years. It has to go on charging cycles. So it depends on how much you drive, how much you wear it down, how much you plug it in. You know, like on let's use a iPhone for example. Oh, look, hey, Ryan, I just saw something on the Apple website that this is new since I've been at Apple.
Oh, it will cost you after. So it says battery within the manufacturer warranty, typically 8 years or in 100,000 miles. Then you should replace the battery, which could cost you about $20,000. That is nice.
That's the new Mac Pro. Macintosh Pro.
That I'll have to look at.
So let me look at the tech specs on this, just out of curiosity. Tech specs. 8-core to 28-core Intel Xeon W processor. You can get a 12 core, 16, 24, 28 core. 28 core. Holy Jesus. 1.5 up to a 1.5 terabyte.
DDR4, ECC memory, 12 user access. Holy shit. That's like it's its own mini server.
Yeah, this thing is. Now, are you ready? Let's look at how much it costs. All right. Let's look at the base first.
$8,000.
$5,999 for the base. So for the base.
Or you could get it set up as a rack for 64.
So for the base, for $6,000, you get the 3.5 gigahertz, 8-core Intel Xeon. $7,000 if you want to get the 28 core. So this is definitely for video editing companies
Oh yeah.
that are working with 8 and 12K. Let's just see how much we can make this.
Oh good lord. Let's make one expensive Mac.
$25,000 for upgrading to the 1.5 terabyte memory.
What the fuck?
2 Radeon Pro 64 gigahertz or 64 gigabytes of memory for the
Duo
video
64
card.
gig DDR6 RAM. That's nuts.
8 terabyte solid
Yeah,
state
you
drive.
might as well, because that's gonna need it. You might as well get the afterburner card.
Afterburner card.
Whatever the
Stainless
fuck that
steel
is.
frame with wheels.
Sure, you gonna roll that motherfucker around. Might as
Gotta
well get
get the
the
Magic
full
Mouse
and trackpad. You might as well get.
I already have Final Cut, but yeah, we'll get Final Cut and we'll get Logic. And that comes out to $52,847.98, which will cost you if you finance it through Apple, $4,404 a month for 12 months.
I mean, I would like to be wine and dined before I'm fucked on a computer.
Wow. Well, they did bring back
you would never
the
have
Mac
to
Pro.
get you would never have to get another computer again.
You know how many times I've been told that?
Well,
this
that
thing's so
the way
powerful,
that
it'll last
processor
it'll
is,
last you 20 years.
the way that this is at least a 10-year computer right here, based on the RAM and based on the processor.
I factor the payments for my computers, figuring that I'll buy a new one every 5 years.
Yeah.
So $10,000 a year. Yeah. I usually like to go about maybe $400 to $500 a year. So.
All right. So let's get to some TikTok clips.
Ooh, I haven't even looked at the TikTok clip, so I have no idea what I'm going to grab. This will be fun. This will be really fun. All right. Let's grab. I got to close all these out. All right. Let's grab this. And let's grab. We already saw that one. Let's grab this. And let's see here. I don't know what.
This will probably all get cut out on the edit, probably.
Okay. I got 3 lined up. We can have more later. So let's go with this one first.
If you would shoot someone because they try to steal your dog, that means you value a dog's life over a human's life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, here's my number. I can help you pay your bail.
I like that
Yeah,
ending.
no, I would. Someone came after my dog. Yeah, I'd drop you in a heartbeat.
Let me put it this way. If you tried to steal my dog, that means you value my dog's life over your own life. Just like if you tried breaking into my house to steal my stuff, that means you value my stuff more than you value your life. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, we got a Family Feud clip.
Oh God.
Give me a boy's name that starts with the letter H.
Jose.
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 Jose. Okay. Starts with a J, but we'll go with it. It sounds like an H.
Jose with an H. Name something that follows the word.
Oh, I love this one.
Huh?
You fine.
He said porcupine.
Pork. You
Rail.
pine.
It's hard to do with your eyes open.
Read.
I don't know how you can keep a straight face.
No, because when you get to do stuff like this.
You know, if it's anything, whenever I was in school and it was reading time, I always read with my eyes closed.
I mean, sure.
And I'm becoming a substitute teacher, so yay! I'm teaching people.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Parents beware.
He's
Name
got a big old
something that's hard to
smile on
do
his face.
with your eyes open. This boy in college. He enrolled in that now. He leaned into the mic and said, "Read, Steve." Okay.
I think
I
this
sure
is
wanna
the
see you
moment when he
shut your
figured
eyes
out
and do it.
that, oh, I fucked up.
Yeah.
Read.
Yeah. All right. Again, I have no idea what we're watching, so.
Sure.
The dumbest things that people have done in the early 1900s, if a soldier ever got his nose blown off, the doctors wouldn't know how to fix it. They didn't know how to make new noses yet, so they would cut off one of the soldier's fingers and make that his brand new nose. Squidward, also, around that same time period, the government would let you put your baby in the mail, and you could send them to anybody in the U.S., but since they had a
What the hell? The government won't even let kids play outside anymore.
He used to mail children.
Hey, Johnny, you're going to go visit your grandmother in Topeka, Kansas.
I know what I'm doing when I'm going to go to the mail. Hey, back in the day, we were allowed to mail children. What is the postage I need?
God.
shitty mail system, the babies would go missing all the time. That's jokes.
No fucking
People that live in
shit.
Dubai get paid just for being skinny. Every time someone loses weight, the government of Dubai pays them in raw gold. The kids in Africa will be fucking billionaires.
Dude, my wrestlers would be billion. Now, does that count? So as a wrestler, we cut weight every week. So if I weighed in on Monday and then come Friday, I was like 15 pounds less. Could I do that
possible.
every week? Just like, oh, I want to do my weigh-in today and then come back on Friday. See, I lost weight again. Gained it back over the weekend, but I lost it again.
Could happen.
At least they're getting paid in gold. Like, you know, that, like, again, you know, it's a non-fungible currency. You know, you can't, like, it's not recession proof, but it's up there. Oh, here we go. Have you seen the slide of death? This is in
No.
Michigan, by the way.
Detroit is making global headlines. The video you just saw was from a Brazilian news publication that also releases news on the rest of the world, and they just so happened to cover the Belle Isle slide in Detroit. According to Google Translate, they were essentially saying that a city in Michigan had this slide that was hurting a lot of people's butts. Now, this could be seen as embarrassing, but I see it as a public relations opportunity. The video has amassed
You
around
should
8
do
million.
the roll log doing like
The most-
horizontal and go down. That'd be fun.
So check out this slide again, though. Look at this. So there's so many bumps. Watch the people. They're like flying up and hitting their heads and everything. Look at that.
I guess you have to go see your chiropractor afterwards because
You might need a
hey, I
CAT
just
scan
took it. I just went on a slide that like did not do well for my adjustment. I need you to readjust it.
I don't know what this is because it just shows a person's sweater.
Joe Biden's brain is on a vacation far away.
Oh, I love this girl.
He doesn't even know what he wants to say. And we know he likes the girls a whole lot.
Younger.
I love that girl. She's fantastic.
Oh, I can't believe I didn't play this last week. This is Drew from Drew Breaks the News.
Well, today brings us some good news. This teacher here in Kansas, who was originally fired because she refused to use the preferred pronouns of a student in her classroom, has sued the school district and received $95,000 because her being fired was a violation of her freedom of religion and her freedom of speech. So teachers, just know that this now sets a precedent to protect you over your freedom of religion and speech.
Did they settle or did she win in court?
They settled.
So
it
if
was
they
a
settled,
settlement.
it's not a precedent, unfortunately. But I'm glad that she got money out of it.
Yeah, because she lost her job and lost her retirement and
think-
everything for that.
I think she should have got a lot more. She should have got maybe 5 or 10 years worth of payment and her retirement from the school. But, you know, 95,000 on a teacher's salary, depending on where you live, that's like a year and a half payment of just your income. So, but that was Drew, who was on last week. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see here. We got some more Gen X ASMR.
Welcome back to Gen X ASMR.
Oh, hairspray.
Gold Aquanet. just forget. Just don't let it match. Oh God.
Oh, do you remember those Macs back in school?
Mm-hmm.
Like you put the what was that, a 5.5-inch floppy?
Yep.
And the thing wouldn't start up unless you put it in because it didn't have its own hard drive. So that clunk you hear at the beginning is the actual head clunking down on the floppy disk to read it.
To know what to play.
And then everything was in this like weird greenish color because I think that was that the Apple II?
I think so.
And it was like this weird green, like matrixy green color with everything. Oh. Scratch and sniff. That was my TV at about midnight every night.
Yep.
Or infomercials. Infomercials came on. Let's see here. Let's see here. Already got that. No. I think we already did the one about the Navy. I think that's about it I have.
We're just going to call it a night. So I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for all joining us tonight and catch you all on the
Don't forget to get a hold of us.
Please check us out on our website, firetalkradio.com. Email us at firetalknetwork@gmail.com. Voicemail us again at 814-380-9820. Always remember, music is always brought to you by Psychostick. Great friends of ours. Check them out on YouTube, their channel. Always again, check us out on Spotify, Audible, Amazon, Stitcher, and Anchor.
And Anchor, and don't forget to
YouTube.
watch us on Rumble.
Yep.
All right.
Like, subscribe. We'll know when we're live.
All right. See you guys. The outro's not playing.
Well, then I'll add that on later.
Okay. See you guys. Bye.